Welcome back to our channel, Storm Rider. The USS Zumwalt DDG-1000 has always been one of the most fascinating and controversial ships in the US Navy, and the 2026 modernization updates have only made it more interesting. If you've ever wondered what makes this futuristic destroyer different from every other warship afloat, this is where it gets exciting. Designed to look like something out of a sci-fi movie, the Zumwalt isn't just about sleek visuals. It's built around stealth, automation, and advanced firepower, making it one of the most technologically ambitious destroyers on Earth. Its angled hull, often described as a tumblehome design, helps it reduce radar reflection, allowing it to operate closer to enemy shores while remaining harder to detect. In simple words, instead of looking like a massive warship on radar, it appears more like a small fishing boat, or not at all until it's too late. That stealth advantage alone sets it apart from older destroyers. Another major part of the ship's identity is automation. Traditionally, destroyers needed nearly 300 sailors to run all operations. The DDG-1000 class was designed so advanced onboard systems can handle much of the work, reducing the crew size to around 150. For a ship over 600 feet long, that is incredible. Fewer crew members mean less space needed for living quarters, and more room on board for weapons, power systems, and mission equipment. This also lowers operating costs over time. The heart of its power is an advanced electric propulsion system. Instead of engines directly pushing the propellers, massive gas turbines generate electricity that can be distributed across the ship, not just for movement, but for weapons and electronics. Early versions of the ship were built with the future in mind, expecting future energy weapons such as railguns or high-powered lasers. By 2026, that future is fast becoming reality. The 2026 configuration introduces updated missile launch capabilities and integration for hypersonic weapons. Standard destroyers carry missiles vertically in what's called a VLS, vertical launch system. The Zumwalt class originally carried 80 launch cells, but new modernization programs are replacing part of the system to support the US Navy's upcoming hypersonic missile platforms, giving the ship the ability to strike targets at extreme distance with speeds multiple times faster than sound. That means less time for enemies to respond, and far deadlier precision. Along with hypersonic strike weapons, the Zumwalt is expected to eventually carry advanced anti-air, anti-ship, and land attack systems, making it a multi-mission platform that can handle everything from destroying coastal targets to neutralizing submarines or incoming aircraft. One thing that makes the Zumwalt stand out visually is its superstructure. Instead of exposed antennas, radars, and weapon mounts like traditional warships, much of its technology is hidden inside smooth, sharp angles to keep radar signatures low. Even the deck gun housings are enclosed. Speaking of guns, the ship originally carried two massive advanced gun systems meant to fire special guided ammunition over 60 miles. The problem was the cost of each shell became ridiculously high, hundreds of thousands of dollars per shot, leading the Navy to abandon that ammunition program. Critics love to use that as proof the ship was a failure. But 2026 upgrades are shifting the ship's role away from long-range gunfire and more toward missile-based firepower and future-directed energy weapons, which gives the Zumwalt a second life and a clear mission moving forward. Energy is where this destroyer truly becomes unique. Because the ship produces so much power, roughly enough to light a small city, there's enough electrical output for experimental lasers and railguns. Railguns fire metal projectiles using magnetic force instead of gunpowder, reaching extreme speeds with enormous kinetic energy. Lasers offer pinpoint accuracy and can be used for missile defense without needing explosive ammunition. Most warships in the world would require massive redesigns to support that level of power demand. The Zumwalt was built ready for it from day one. Even if some of those weapons are still under testing, the ship is a perfect testbed for the future of naval combat. From a defense standpoint, stealth and long-range firepower make the ship ideal for operating near enemy territory. Traditional destroyers are powerful, but they are visible and easier to track. A stealth warship limits an enemy's ability to detect, target, or fire back. For missions involving strategic strikes, intelligence gathering, or escorting high-value fleets. That low-profile design adds a layer of survivability other ships just don't have. The hull shape, which narrows as it rises above the water, also helps stability in rough seas, though it has sparked discussion among experts. Some believe it performs exceptionally, while others worry about seaworthiness in extreme ocean conditions. Still, testing and deployments continue to prove that the ship is operationally stable and combat-ready. Inside the ship, technology is everywhere. Touchscreen controls, automated systems, advanced radar and sonar, and one of the most modern combat information centers in the Navy. Instead of dozens of crew members running systems manually, many tasks are computer-controlled, which increases reaction speed and reduces human error. Even firefighting, damage control, and internal monitoring are heavily automated. Living conditions on board are better than on older destroyers as well. More space, quieter propulsion, and climate control improvements make long deployments easier for sailors, which helps morale and performance. Of course, the Zumwalt's story hasn't been perfect. High cost, delays, and redesigns made critics question whether the program was worth it. Instead of 32 ships originally planned, only 3 were built. But in 2026, those ships are finally becoming exactly what they were intended to be: platforms for next-generation naval warfare. Just because something is experimental doesn't mean it's a failure. It means it's ahead of its time. The upgrades in hypersonic strike capability, improved missile launch systems, and the possibility of energy weapons give the Zumwalt relevance for decades to come. Many navies around the world are still building ships with designs decades old. The Zumwalt looks like it belongs in 2050. If you're a technology fan, a military enthusiast, or just someone curious about what the future of naval power looks like, the USS Zumwalt is an example of how warships are evolving: stealth instead of size, automation instead of manpower, and high-tech energy systems instead of traditional engines. Whether it becomes the blueprint for future destroyers or remains a rare experimental class, its innovations are already influencing new ship designs and future fleet planning. The U.S. Navy always looks for advantages: speed, stealth, range, firepower. And the Zumwalt brings all of those together in a single futuristic platform. So when we talk about the 2026 Zumwalt DDG-1000, we're not just talking about another destroyer. We're talking about a ship that pushes the boundaries of naval engineering, changes how warships are powered, and opens the door for weapons once considered science fiction. It's fast, it's quiet, it's hard to detect, and it carries some of the most advanced systems ever placed on a surface combat vessel. At sea, the strongest advantage is not always the biggest gun. It's the ship that sees first, strikes first, and stays hidden the longest. And that is exactly what makes the Zumwalt one of the most fascinating warships of the modern era.